So if you're here listening to this, hopefully you have heard about Umiaq and maybe want to know more about it, specifically what it is, what it can do for you. And I'm hoping to go through that. Umiaq is it's a tool we created for Crossword Nexus to help you search through your word list. So let me go to the next slide. Yeah, so Umiaq is a pattern matching tool that you can use against your word list. The syntax of Umiaq is based on cat, which you may or may not know. And the advantage of Umiaq is that it's open source and available online. All the code is on GitHub. I am very much hoping some people will take that code and run with it to make it even better than it is today. But so far, it's pretty good and seems relatively useful and is giving results relatively fast. So let's talk specifically about if you should use Umiaq. The short version is this. If you are currently a cat user, then you should probably switch to Umiaq. The big pro of Umiaq is that you can upload your own word list. Cat makes you choose from a selection of 5 word lists, which is pretty good. And they have Peter Broda's word list as one of them. So if, for crossword related purposes, you could use that. But if you have your own word list that you like, that maybe has a lot less crap in it than some other word lists, you might want to switch to Umiaq instead. The con of Umiaq is that not all the functionality of cat is in there, and I will talk specifically about what is missing and what could be added in the future. If you do not currently use cat, Umiaq might not be for you. The reason I say that is because there is Adam Aronson's amazing tool, Word Listed, which I assume all of you know about, and if you don't, you should Google it. If you're at all interested in crossword construction, you should use Word Listed. It's fantastic. It's amazing. The main reason for using Umiaq over Word Listed is that Umiaq is more powerful than Word Listed. Umiaq can do things Word Listed can't. The main reason for that, well, there's a couple reasons. Word Listed, if you've used it, you know that it has various categories of things you can search for, right? And so you have to select a category, and then you type in what you want. Umiaq can do basically all of that, but the syntax is a little more obscure, and so that's the con. Umiaq is not as intuitive as Word Listed. So anyway, let's talk specifically about what that syntax is. I mentioned the syntax is a little complicated. It's a little more complicated than Word Listed, but let's talk about exactly what it is and how you might use it. Okay, first things first, there is the ordinary pattern syntax. Ordinary patterns looks a lot like what one look looks like. It's kind of a mix between one look, regular expressions, some of Word Listed syntax, but let's just go through it. So when you type in something into Umiaq, you can type in a mix of lowercase letters. A lowercase letter will match that letter. So if you type in LAP, I don't know why that's the first word I came up with, it'll just return you the word lap, because that's what you search for, those lowercase letters. You can also put in a period that would match any letter. So you could put in LA blank P, and that would match lamp. It would also match LAPP if that's in your word list, etc. There is the star that matches any sequence of letters. This is similar to what you've probably seen on Word Listed and other places. So if you type LA blank P, LA period P star, that would match lamps among many, many other things probably. There's also this quick syntax for matching vowels and consonants. Any vowels you can match with an at. Any consonants you can match with pound. I believe that is the same syntax as one look. And then anything inside of brackets matches regular expression syntax. If you're not familiar with regular expressions, you might want to be. Tyler likes to quote the thing that says, if you have a problem, you might be tempted to try to solve it with regular expressions, and now you have 2 problems. But in this case, it is a very powerful tool, and you can use it if you want to match things. So here's an example. You can put in a, pound, at. You can put in brackets, MNT, at, and then 2 dots. this is, I think, mostly useful for people creating variety puzzles, but it could be useful in other contexts as well. And that's what this matches. These are some examples. It matches more than this, but this is just the first couple. It'll match anything with the letter A, followed by a consonant, followed by a vowel, followed by either the letters M, N, and T, followed by another vowel, followed by 2 more letters. So that is the basics of the simple syntax. But where Umiaq gets really interesting is in the equation solver. So in the equation solver, we have capital letters, which we use as variables. A capital letter matches any string of letters. So if you just typed in capital A and an @ sign, it'll match anything followed by a vowel. So I have the examples here: ago, calamari, I, again, matches anything followed by a vowel. Now you might be asking, Alex, this is silly. You just said that the star matches anything. So why would we ever want to use these capital letters instead of a star? Well, the interesting part of the equation solver comes from this. You can use semicolons to separate things you want to match. And the example that I was always most intrigued by that Cat could do is this AB semicolon BA. So what we're matching here is 2 separate words, right? One is of the form AB, and the other is of the form BA. So we have Amex, which matches the first syntax, of course, and then exam, which is, the second part switched with the first part. It also matches Andy and Diane, Cabo and Boca, Cane and Inca. In these examples, all of them are 4 letters long, and each of A and B is 2 letters long, but of course, it'll match anything like this. So it could be longer phrases. The A could be 5 letters long, and the B could be 1 letter long, etc. One convenient thing is that you can mix the variables with the ordinary pattern syntax. And so I have this crazy example here. You can have a capital A, and you can say, all right, after the capital A, I want it to be either an M, an N, or a T. After that, I want it to be a vowel. All right, that's my first word. And then the second word, I want it to be some kind of consonant, either the letter E or A, and then the variable A again. So let's look at this first example specifically. We have Anthony. So in this case, the capital A is ANTO, followed by the letter N, followed by a vowel. And then in the second one, we have the ANTO at the end, and at the beginning, we have a consonant and the letters E or A. I have a couple more examples down here that you're welcome to go through, but you could see how this could be a pretty powerful thing to use if you wanted to use it. I do think this is mostly interesting for people creating variety puzzles, but there may be some use cases for coming up with theme ideas, doing some things that maybe word listed would not let you do. One other part of the equation solver, I mentioned before that it was showing you examples where A and B both had length 2, but you can actually specify the lengths if you want. So in this example, what I'm saying is, all right, I want the variable A followed by the letter E, followed by the variable B. The second word, I want the variable A followed by the letter I, followed by the letter B. The length of A is 2, the length of B is 3. What do you got? And it gives you a ton of things, but here are some of them: blends and blinds, checks and chicks, flex and flicks, freeze and freeze. Kind of cool, right? You can get all this stuff from Umiaq if you understand the syntax and how to use it. Okay, now that that's all done, I want to talk about stuff that Umiaq can't do that I would ideally like it to have, but isn't quite there yet. So the ones on the left, I think I can implement relatively easily. Specifically, in Cat, you can do this flexible length matching. I believe what this syntax is saying is that A is a string of 4 or more letters, B is a string of 2 or more letters, and then give me A, B, B, A. If you use Cat, and I'm wrong about that, I apologize, but I believe that's what that's saying. Currently in Umiaq, you can only say A has to be the specific length, B has to be the specific length, and then give me A, B, B, A. The other thing Cat does that is really cool, and I do want to implement, is that you can fully specify the the structure of your variable. So in this case, in cat syntax, you can say, all right, A has to look like this thing, B has to be length of 2 or more, and then ABBA. I think these are relatively straightforward to implement, but I have not done them quite yet. The two on the right are going to be much harder to implement for me, but I would love for somebody else to come in and say, hey, here's a great, easy way you can do this. But let's take a look at them. Cat has this anagram syntax, which is super cool. You just put a slash and then a string, and then it pops out all the anagrams of that string, which is terrific. It's great. Umiaq can't do it yet. And the other thing Umiaq can't do is this reversed variable. So in cat, you can do a dot tilde a, which means give me a string, a letter, and the string reversed. So in this case, this would give you odd length palindromes. Very cool, very useful thing to be able to do. Umiaq can't do it. And the reason it can't do these things is that Umiaq uses regular expressions under the hood. It breaks everything into a regular expression and then parses it. This is technical stuff you don't necessarily need to know, but that's why these are harder than the other ones. That is about it. I do encourage you to go out there and use Umiaq. I will put a link in the description of this video. But that's about it. Please do give it a shot. See what you can do with it. If you are into programming and you can make it better, that would be amazing. It's written in Python, so anybody who knows some Python should be able to handle it. But that is about the long and short of it. Thanks a lot.